Greetings, everyone. Cyberyoga here, and it's another episode. Happy to share from my hearts and my thoughts. I always share from my hearts, and had an amazing conversation with some good friends today. And the topic that came up that really resonated with me was about someone else's pain is not yours. And what does that mean? Sometimes we subconsciously or consciously inherit someone else's pain and their trauma. And I feel like a part of that comes from our own version of our trauma, a version of trauma bonding. Because I'm learning that when you're in your power and your essence and you're in your loving state in absolute, you tend to not take on someone else's pain. You learn to empathize and to hold space and to love. But I learned from my understanding, you won't learn to inherit this trauma for yourself. And I've grew up with this subconsciously, didn't even realize, but it came up for me really strongly today in this conversation. And very simple, because someone else is suffering, I feel like I have to do something or I have to suffer with them. And in my opinion, I feel like it's a form of trauma bonding. So it's about learning how to identify the wounds and the traumas that you have, that you're solely not responsible for someone else's pain and torment, but you can hold space and show empathy, but you can't carry on the weight and the trauma. And I've noticed, I believe the system's job is to promote disharmony, disunity, dysfunction, pain, and fear. So it keeps everyone in a state of low vibration. And so we're all seeing negativity, so much division, so much fighting, so much war, so much death. And there's a lot of this trauma going around. There's obviously like what's happening to someone. And then there's people that seeing what's happened to someone else, and inherently they're taking on the same pain as that person or the situation or the event. And it really resonated with me. My friend said in his journey, he understood, in his spiritual journey, that he understood, he had this mantra that kept playing. And basically the mantra was, my pain is not your pain. And so sometimes we can project our pain onto someone else, or someone can invest or subscribe to someone else's pain or some kind of trauma. And then I feel like it's a form of trauma bonding. And this is why I shared this video, because I feel like once you get to a certain space where you're in your absolute of love, in your healing, and you're on your stage of healing, and you're understanding unprogramming codes and programs and learning to install new programs of love, or learning to receive love, the clarity in your life is going to be completely shifted in a very divine, positive way, that you'll understand where you was and how to navigate forward. So for me, I think when my friend brought up this point about, my pain is not your pain, I remember one time when my stepfather was going through some pain, and a family member passed away, and I was a young kid. And I remember him crying, and I remember being a little boy, and I saw his pain and felt his pain. So I started crying with him. And for some strange reason, when my friend brought up this point about my pain is not your pain, a memory came up. And this is post journey, so I did a healing journey the day before yesterday. And when he said it, it really resonated with me, and something triggered. And that moment when I inherited the program, when I subscribed to that program of my stepfather as a child, it came up for me, which to me understood that that's when I inherited this concept of taking on someone else's pain as if it's my own, or I am responsible for it. So it really resonated with me. and I caught myself and I caught the program, and I understood that once you're able to catch the program and you're able to understand it and to receive it and to accept it, I feel therefore you can heal it, you can transform it, you can change the program. And so I thought it was really profound, and then it hit me. I was like, how many other people in the world are taking on someone else's pain subconsciously? You know, it's really, really deep if you really think about it. It's really profound, very complex. But the essence is the form of the energy, the trauma, taking on someone else's trauma. You see what's happening in the world. There was a flood that just happened in Texas. What's happening in between Palestine and Israel, all that pain, all that trauma, and what's happening with the ICE and the immigrants. And then we have COVID. There's so many things, so much trauma going around, so much negativity. And I feel like we have to learn to focus more on the positive, focus more on the love and the compassion. But I get it too. It's a space that you have to get to in your spiritual journey. So for me, I just understood that I had to do the work, and by you doing the work, you're finding clarity in so many departments of your life and your psyche. And it's only when you're stepping into your divine, into your love, into receiving love, as Jesus taught me, love, that you start to see the things in you that's not serving you anymore. And for me, it's not suffering anymore. Why should I have to suffer for someone else? And I understood that I most likely inherited this program, and that's why this topic came up for me so strongly for me to address post-journey. And I feel like everything is super interconnected. And I'm very blessed and very really grateful that this came up for me, because it's a huge thing that I can learn to let go of. Sometimes an empath can be a person that can be not subconsciously feeding off of the trauma or the energy from another person. And I'm learning how to understand that you can navigate this ability. You know, you can take on, you can empathize with people and what they're going through and show love and hold space. But it's not your job to be responsible for someone else. It's not your job to suffer or to be in a very low vibration mode because of what's happening. But this is where I am. Everyone else is different. So this is where I am, and everyone is different. And again, that's when I share my thoughts. Everything I do, I share from the heart. And years of deep healing, deep spiritual work, walking with Jesus, I share from the heart and share things I know that can benefit humanity. So those that are watching this video showed up for you, and learn to address and learn to not take on anyone else's trauma or wounds. If you're not, that's awesome. But I just wanted to share from my heart. So sending love, and please like, comment. Please comment any thoughts or what you feel you're going through. I would love to hear your input, and definitely subscribe, and sending love, and see you in the next one. And remember, love is a way, Jesus is King. Follow Cyberyoga.